Hello everybody, it's D here, and we have traveled from North Carolina down to sunny Orlando, Florida. And tomorrow we're going to go to Epcot for the Flower and Garden Festival. And I'm really excited about it because they've got some really amazing demonstration gardens that I want to look at and kind of give you my thoughts on. From all different regions, from desert to subtropical forest, there's all kinds of stuff that I'm really excited to see. So, here at Disney World, the monkey's back there somewhere. So yeah, let's cut to the flowers. Well, it's not quite flowers, but I had to go here to Blue Ribbon Corn Dogs and get myself a pickle dog. It just looks so weird that I had to try it. And it didn't disappoint. It was definitely weird. Was it good? I don't know, but it's to try. Good morning, garden friends. My name is Dee, and today we are on part 2 of our first field trip, and we are in Disney World. Today we're going to go down to Epcot's Flower and Garden Festival, and we're going to check out the demonstration gardens that they have going there. I did a little bit of reading on what they've got going. They've got some really cool stuff to see, so come on, let's get out there and go and check it out. Right, so up first we've got the English Tea Gardens presented by Twinings. Twinings tea, I don't know if you guys know, it's pretty tasty tea. They make a quality product. They have a lot of plants included here, and some are included in their teas, the teas they want to highlight, but a lot of it is ornamental. So they have these teacup planters that you see here, and they were highlighting a variety of teas. Some of the planting is not necessarily real world applicable, but for the demonstration of the plants that are included, I thought it was pretty cool. They also included these placards about their tea production and the size of leaves they pick, and I thought that was a nice little touch, but the star of the show is really these planters. You know, there's all kinds of stuff, and some of the bigger plants like the pomegranate you can see is behind there. And the pineapple, obviously a pineapple's not going to grow in a pot this small, not very well anyway, but I really enjoyed their effort in trying to include as many of the varieties of plants as possible. It really is just a beautiful garden. It was beautifully set up. It really flowed nicely, kind of in a big circle, and they had a lot of variety of plants that they were highlighting. Like, I think it's really amazing that it's not just a functional garden. So a functional garden doesn't have to look like a farm. So these are functional to grow tea, and you can see how much ornamental plants they include in addition to the plants that they're using for production. It's not super highly productive, but it's gorgeous. All right, so I thought this garden was really interesting. So this is the Shakespeare Garden, and there are these excerpts from works of William Shakespeare throughout the garden, and it talks about the imagery that the plants held throughout his writings. And I put some of them up here. And I thought this was really interesting because like most of us, had to read some Shakespeare in school, but didn't really understand the symbolism at the time. You're younger and don't understand things fully or don't understand hyperbole and imagery. But when I was doing the research on these plants, like really reading these plaques, It would have made understanding William Shakespeare so much easier. So, if you have time, slow the video down. Definitely go back, read some of these excerpts, look at the imagery of the flowers, and it gives the words a completely different meaning. It was really interesting to see. All right. If you have kids, you've probably seen Inside Out too. This is not at all what I was expecting. I don't know what I was expecting, but they really leaned into the aesthetics of the plant, and they definitely portray emotion. It was different. I was expecting it to be a little more on the nose, kind of like this one we discussed, the food plants make you feel a certain way. But I appreciate that they included a lot of interesting varieties here to convey the emotion, the color and the life and the different growing styles. I thought it was really interesting. It was a very diverse group of plants, and they really leaned into the color aesthetic, and I think they did a wonderful job. Also, these are the floating gardens. Look at all of these plants, thousands of them. Somebody had to plant each one of those. And these are in fact floating planters. I sat here for a long time trying to really figure out if they were floating. They are. It's amazing. And this Bambi topiary, I wanted to look at because these are digitalis planted all throughout here, these pink and purples. That's foxglove. Those are incredibly toxic. So if you have kids, keep them away from that. I'm surprised Disney put them in. Alright, so this is Living with the Land. This is easily my favorite ride. This isn't something that's special for the Flower and Garden Festival. This is always here. I previously have taken tours in this greenhouse, which is a series of greenhouses. They have such diverse growing systems in these greenhouses. It's fascinating. They're doing all kinds of studies on pest management, different growing styles, different aeroponics versus a hydroponics. Some of these are more conventional. All of these plants are edible. And there's a bunch of varieties in here that I didn't think were edible. I think it's just parts of it. It's just parts of the root or parts of the flowers. But they do some really amazing, groundbreaking things in here. I love that they lean into the colors of the lettuce to kind of make a design. A lot of these plants will be served in the restaurants in Disney, which is something a lot of people don't know, they don't understand. Here's some of the aeroponics. So these plants are suspended and they're just going through kind of a misting channel, and then they drip out, they dry out, and then they go back through. And you just continually harvest up. You can see how long the stalks are. Then we went into the butterfly garden. We didn't do much here. It was a lot of repetition as far as the plants go. You get your clusters of flowers. The butterflies love it. It's a little early in the season, so not many were emerged from their cocoons. So it was just kind of a pretty little greenhouse. So this is one I absolutely wanted to see. In that title, you can see I looked at every one of these plants and noted when they evolved from the fossil record. Hundreds of millions of years these plants have been on our planet. They have seen countless species, countless global disasters, and they still thrive. It's pretty amazing that hundreds of millions of years and they're largely unchanged. To put it in perspective, tomatoes only emerged about 80,000 years ago. Lettuce only maybe 6,000 years ago. So these plants are truly prehistoric. They are unlike most other families of plants, and they're so cool and bizarre and funky. And so this one was a hard sell for me. I live in the desert. This was a little bit of a lackluster desert garden, but that being said, it's pretty humid in Florida, so you're limited on varieties. Similarly, I thought that these are all bromeliads, but this is the orchid garden. There's a lot of orchids volume-wise, but there wasn't a lot of different varieties. I think they were going more for color variation and different display styles. I like how they grouped them with the mosses and the bromeliads. The displays were beautiful. There's some air ferns tucked in there. There just wasn't a lot of species variety. But that being said, they're still gorgeous, and I can't keep orchids alive very well anyway. So this was the Penjing Garden. This was a new term for me. Essentially, it's Chinese bonsai. And I am a sucker for bonsai. These things are just gorgeous. I love the artistry that goes into manipulating the trees to grow in pots that are too small for them, or you would think they are, for, in some cases, hundreds of years. It just blows my mind. I'll look at them all day. And you gotta look at the pandas, because everyone loves pandas. Bamboo, meh. Alright, so for most vegetable gardeners, this is going to be the most similar thing to what we've got in our backyards. I tried to put the names of the plants just to kind of illustrate what the companion planting was, or the amount of species they had. I love this terracotta. I think it's fantastic. We have a hard time with it here in the desert, but yeah, this is all conventional stuff most of us can go and pick up at any store. You can cook an amazing amount of variety with this. So this one was kind of cool. This was put on by Scentsy. It was the Blossoms of Fragrance, and it illustrated the variety of flowers that they use as inspiration for some of the scents that they put out. It all smelled fantastic. It was a little windy here, so the scent kind of got diffused a little bit, but it was very good. So like I said, I'll look at bonsai all day. Here's a baobab, which it's in a pot that's no bigger than a saucer. Just the artistry and mastery that goes into these is just phenomenal. See how they had to wire this one down because it's so much more top heavy than bottom heavy. They're just kind of placed throughout these gardens here in Japan and Epcot, and they're just beautiful. So here's the Kokedama garden. This was really interesting because they had a really wide variety of plants, and they're planted in these sort of balls of moss. They even included a denium over here, which is a arid plant, but it seems to be doing great. So this was the spice garden. Again, it was a little lackluster. There was a lot of herbs included, but not many spices. And yes, there is a difference. All right, and last but not least is the French Haute or Bouquet gardens. These are kind of meant to be high-class gardens, which obviously you can see that aesthetic here. But for the most part, I found that the bouquet garden was just fantastic. Just rows and rows of color, different heights, different colored leaves, different colored flowers. Just beautiful. Man, these hydrangeas are just amazing. It's kind of a whirlwind day. We're headed home early tomorrow, so back to the real world. But man, it's beautiful here. Coco, you want to say something?
This has been a fun trip.
There you have it.
Come here while you have the chance for the flowers.
Come here when you have a chance to see the Flower and Garden Festival. With that, and just like that, we're back in the real world. Back in the desert, no more vacations, got to finish the semester strong. But hey, I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me today, looking at some wonderful gardens. If you have any questions or comments, please drop them below. Give me a thumbs up, I really appreciate it. And yeah, see you next time. Go plant something.